Welcome. You're listening to The Radke Show with David and Melissa Radke.
She called me when I was pulling into the pharmacy. I had to wait in line at A-Belts for a long time. We were on the phone that long. Then I got the prescription. Then I drove the prescription to my parents' house, dropped it off. Then I drove all the way home. Then I came in the house and unloaded all my stuff. Then you came into the kitchen and saw us talking. And then I laid on the couch for another 30 minutes and talked to her. And we're talking about how long Remy wants to talk whenever she FaceTimes me. And here's the thing, like my girlfriend, Pauline, her daughter, Rashana, went away to college last year. And she said the same thing. She said, get ready, because actually what she said was, she's Indian and I can do her perfectly. You will all of a sudden be on the phone so much. And I will say to her, Rashana, I don't have time to just talk. I will have to keep this house running. You can talk to someone else. You are at school with so many people. And that's what I want to say to Remy. And she's like, no, talk to me. But I don't want to put her off, because what if she's lonely? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I know she's not just bored at the moment and just want to chat, or she's like lonely?
I don't think she's lonely. I think she would never admit being a little homesick.
The first time I ever laid eyes on David Radke, the first time ever, it was at a freshman orientation. The second time I ever saw him, like I never saw him on campus after that. Not that I was looking. Trust me, I wasn't. But the second time
she was.
I really wasn't. I promise. The second time David Radke ever entered my circumference of even like my sphere of influence at all, I was pulling up into the parking lot at school to go park my car. And he was walking out of the cafeteria, and it looked like Fonzie was walking out of Al's. Isn't that where they always ate? Al's Burger Shack or whatever?
Al's Diner, maybe? Yeah.
It looked like Fonzie was walking out. He just had a circle of people around him.
Hey.
And I remembered thinking, actually, first of all, you were a foot taller than everybody else. You were a head taller. You had a great head of hair. I remember that. It wasn't styled good. But I do remember thinking, dang, that boy's got a head of hair. But you had on train conductor pants, and I wasn't happy about that.
Okay, what are train?
They were white with light, like navy blue stripes down them. They 100% were.
I don't remember having a pair like that.
But I just remembered thinking, this guy's got it going on, because like all of his buddies are around him, you know, and you were walking out like this. Everybody was just laughing at you. So don't talk to me about lonely. You don't know lonely.
I've never been lonely. I can always chat.
Hey, but in all seriousness though, some people might be surprised at this, but loneliness is actually something that I deal with. I can tend to get lonely pretty easily. And that's really saying something, considering I'm very outgoing and I know a lot of people, but that doesn't mean you have a lot of people just because you know a lot of people. And David would say, but you're surrounded by family. So you do also have a lot of people. But when we lived in Nashville, or when I was in school at Belmont or whatever, like loneliness is something that my personality trait I deal with. Is it you? Do you deal with that?
No.
I didn't think so.
Now, I will say this.
I'd like for you to be a touch more sensitive on this.
I will say this. I wouldn't say I'm lonely, but I don't like to be alone. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Those are two very different things.
I'm not lonely, but unless I am watching, maybe not all sporting, but football in particular, then I kind of lean toward wanting to watch them by myself.
Yeah.
Unless you want to watch it with me. But other than that, I like to just be with people. And in fact, even the way our house is set up, we've got a couple of options where I can watch television And I tend to pick the living room that's kind of in the center where people walk through just because I like seeing people. So it's strange. I would never say I deal with loneliness, but I don't like to be alone. But then on the other side of that is when you need to recharge, you always tell me to get out of your face because you want to be alone.
Yeah. If I need to recharge from people, I like to be alone. Being alone and loneliness are two very different things. Loneliness is an innate feeling that I don't have anybody. I'm in this by myself and I can suffer with that. And I am someone who lives across a pond from family, across a gravel road from family. They're behind me and they're across town. I mean, like, you would not think that I would, but I don't know why. That's just in my personality.
And occasionally when you are feeling lonely,
he's going to say something smart, Alec. He's going to say something smart, Alec. No, I can tell when
it's not really true. I mean, it's not really, I mean, I'm not being smart, Alec, but sometimes when I can tell you're kind of feeling lonely, I try to spend more time with you or say, let's do this or let's watch this. And you'll say, no, you're not what I'm looking for. Be like, I
don't believe I have ever looked at you and said, you're not what I'm looking for. Have I ever said that?
Not those words, but you go.
I thought it. Sometimes what you're wanting is a family moment. You just want your family around you. Sometimes what you want is just your girlfriends. Like, I just know I need to get together with some girls and just gab, right? Or I need to be with my best friend and just like download.
But isn't every moment a Fonzie moment? Don't you always want your Fonz?
Okay. You know what? I shouldn't have even said that. That ain't the last I'm going to hear about it. Hey, you guys, I want to talk for a moment about Tuesday's episode. If you have not listened to the Radke show from 2 days ago, from Tuesday, you got to go back and listen to it. Did you end up listening to the whole thing? You had to have because you edited it. Yeah. What did you think?
I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was really good. It was very vulnerable.
Yeah.
But there was still, you know, of course, you're part of it. So there was still some humor and heart.
My fear is that someone who listens to the Radke show all the time may have come across it and been like, oh, David's not on this one. It's a different type of episode. I'm not going to listen to this one.
Which I mean, I get that, but you need to listen to it.
Of course he does. Hey, of course he does. But it was such a great episode about a dear friend of mine, Diana, who has recently gone through a divorce after 31 years of marriage, or 34 years, something like that, and 4 children, and just done everything she could to make this marriage work. And one of the things that got brought up that I was a little bit nervous about when we did the interview is the taboo that we were raised with. If you were raised in church like David and I were, and a lot of y'all were, then you know that God hates divorce was a taboo thing. I mean, divorce was just taboo. I can honestly tell you, divorce is so prevalent now. We have so many friends who A, have gotten divorced, B, are getting divorced, or C,
they want to get divorced.
Should get a divorce. No. Or C, like that's their second wife, or, you know what I'm saying? But it was so taboo growing up in the evangelical church. Divorce was. And I want to stress evangelical because that's all I know. I don't know Catholic church, or I don't know what it was like in the what all is evangelical?
Why don't you say Episcopal?
Episcopal
church. That's not.
I don't know what it was like there.
But even in that, I mean, there are, you know, even the difference in, like charismatic churches and Baptist churches and maybe Methodist churches. Each one could be very different.
Right.
You know?
But David, here's the interesting thing. Y'all, listen to this. When her and I were sitting doing the interview and she made the comment, something to the effect of, but Melissa, what scared me was that I was a worship pastor at a church and I had to ask myself, is the church going to still accept me? Because the church that I was raised in, which is very similar to the one you were raised in, Melissa, would they want me? I'm going to have this scarlet letter D on my chest for divorce. I mean, and David, just like that, I started getting nervous about that episode, like as if the evangelical church is the mafia and they're going to listen to it and then kick me out. Like, I don't like to, I'm not a confrontational person, and I really don't like to ruffle feathers or anything like that. And I started getting nervous. What if somebody, well, I'm speaking in an Assemblies of God event in a couple of weeks. What if they listen to this podcast and they call me and tell me, we don't need you, God still hates divorce? I mean, like, is that normal?
Well, I think it's a little bit normal, just because you have seen it weaponized in the past.
That's a great way to put it.
So I do think that's fair, but I also think you really need to go and listen or watch the podcast. We're not here to do another episode on it on the podcast that we already had.
We are talking about something along those lines.
But you did, have some clarity to, yes, God does hate divorce. I mean, so that is an accurate statement, but there also are different circumstances and different situations where God loves his child more than he hates divorce, and the health of that person mentally, physically, spiritually, as well as the children and those kind of things. So I do understand what you're talking about, but I really feel like if anybody listened to that or knows your heart, they're,
right.
Now they may not want you to speak on it at their,
right.
Their,
well, one of the things
organization event.
One of the things that we're going to talk about today are other taboo topics that we were raised to hear, believe, in the church as a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s. In fact, I went online, I did a little research, I talked to some of my girlfriends that I was raised in the youth group with, and wrote down a long list of things. I was like, okay, what do y'all remember them preaching to us over and over and over? And we got very tickled talking about some of them over group text. I listed them all out. I sent them to David because we were separate. And I texted them to David because I was away from the office. And I said, you go down this list, pick two that stick out to you, that jump out to you from your childhood or from your youth days. I'm going to pick out two. We're not even going to talk to each other about what we're bringing to the table. And we're going to talk about 4 taboo topics that we remember growing up with in the 80s and 90s. And are they relevant today? Do they matter as much today? Because man, hasn't the world changed? Because one of my girlfriends said in the group text, you guys, as we're sitting here talking and texting about this, I can't help but think, don't we have much bigger fish to fry in the church today? Well, with the arrival of cell phones, and then cell phones that can take pictures, and then cell phones that can take pictures that can send those pictures to people, and social media. And yes, we do. But are these taboo topics still taboo? Should they be more taboo? I don't know. So we're going to talk about that today. So David, here's what we're going to do. You're going to do one, then I'm going to do one. Then we're going to go to a break.
Okay.
Then we're going to do 2 more. And then we're going to go to another break. Okay. So out of that list, and you may have come up with one on your own.
Well, one that wasn't on the list, I don't know why this just popped in my head, was the Halloween. I don't know why that popped in my head. Was Halloween. Growing up was like, I literally can remember when I was small enough where, you had to dress as a Bible character.
Shut up.
Or something very like neutral, like, a cowboy or a football player or something like that.
Did you? Okay. Was this your church? Was this your family? Because my church never preached, don't watch the Smurfs, right? But there were families in our church, not mine.
Well, it's kind of tricky because my dad was a pastor.
True.
And so even if he wasn't the senior pastor, he was on staff. And so maybe a little both. But that's where what were they like, the harvest festivals came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like we want to have fun, just like
but good, clean fun.
Like the heathen people, but we're going to put our candy in the trunk of our car.
Oh,
which that sounds,
sure.
when you stop and say that sounds a little creepier.
What you're saying is, hey, little boy,
come close to my trunk.
Come close and climb up here in this trunk and get what you want. The church sometimes got it wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now, a trunk or treat be wrong. That's weird.
But anyway,
was there ever something that you fought to dress up for Halloween that you were just told no?
Not that I remember. Number one, because we went trick or treating. Like my parents weren't like anti Halloween.
Okay.
Now we probably did have a conversation or two, especially when I was little, as far as where maybe Halloween came from, that there are some, bad things that can happen.
It started with All Hallows Eve. David.
So we did have those conversations, but we went and, trick or treated, and I feel like I probably did a football player several times, and that kind of thing.
That's funny because I was a cheerleader probably 3 years in a row, and after that, I was Annie for probably 3 years in a row. See, again, nice neutral figures, right? But when we would trick or treat, we would only go to houses that we knew. Like my parents would be like, okay, we're going to go to Gail and Sarah Martin's house. And then after that, we're going to go to we're going to go to Tommy and Sheila's.
See, no, we didn't do that.
But I didn't grow up in a subdivision either.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we just would.
It was only people from the church. Why don't we stop at some people that Gene works with? No, those are sinners. Absolutely not. They're going to put razor blades in our apples.
Did you ever know anybody that actually got a razor blade in their apple?
Okay.
I'm not saying it didn't happen, and if it did to you, I'm sorry.
I'm telling you right now, apparently Annette Lee did, because she said it every year. I'm going to tell you what, Cheryl from down there past the Pines Theater, back on that back road back there, she's got a cousin that happened to. I mean, every year my mother would know somebody.
Now, let me tell you this. Talking about now we have a different set of problems.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't stress so much if my kids wanted to dress up in something kind of scary, because it's one night and it's a costume and it's not the life they live. That's just my perspective.
Okay. I'm going to question you on that.
Ding, there's going to be,
I'd like to challenge him, please.
There's going to be a line to that. But my whole point is what I was trying to say. Now I would be terrified of my kids going somewhere that they didn't know the people, because, a razor blade and an apple might have sounded silly and we may not have heard of that.
Ooh, that would hurt.
But somebody putting fentanyl on something.
Oh, dear Lord, help us.
So I wouldn't let the kids just go anywhere in trick or treat now.
If Rocco Radke said he wanted to dress up like Mike Myers, which is the Halloween Mike Myers, he wears that hockey mask and carries a chainsaw or whatever, you would be okay with that?
If I didn't have to pay for any of that.
That is not true. The year that Remy wanted to go as a vampire bride, we had to write up a contingency plan with you. You were like, Melissa, I don't know. And then I think you really came around to it because we didn't allow, remember when she wanted to watch a new Disney animated show called Vampire High School? We wouldn't even let her watch that. Like, this wasn't a part of her life. She just wanted that one night a year.
Yeah.
So
anyway, we got way off on that. I mean, that's an okay one, but
that's a good one though.
I don't want to take time on that one. There's two biggest ones that immediately come out to me.
Wait, give your second one.
Okay.
One.
Okay. So my first one.
That wasn't it?
No, I told you.
Oh, that. Sweet mercies. I was really giving that some.
I told you. That's why I was trying to get off of it. I was just saying it popped in my head. Music was a very
backward masking. We worship
that was very big. As far as just not having anything go in that's not, 100% pure.
Okay. What did your parents let you listen to at home? You're in your bedroom. You're getting ready for the day. You listen to music?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
Petra, Whiteheart.
Beyond belief.
Petra, I'm trying to I'm going blank. Petra, Whiteheart.
You could not have turned on any Def Leppard.
Oh, no, huh?
I do remember. Have turned on any Julio Iglesias.
No, huh?
You couldn't have turned on any Never Gonna Give You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down.
I don't think.
They would have thought he was talking about Jesus.
It wasn't. I mean, I do remember having like a little boombox or jam box or whatever. And I do remember as I got older, like in high school, I would listen to kind of like some, rap, hip hop, kind of stuff or whatever. But I just didn't sit around the house a lot and just listen to music. I mean, which is crazy because of how much I love music.
Yeah.
But I really didn't do that. But I will tell you a funny story. I'm sure I've told you years ago. So when I was a kid, we had I want to say we were selling magazines or something. And so I sold a bunch of magazines and it was a gold radio watch. It was a gold radio. It was like,
I bet that was great sound.
And so anyway, I could listen to music on there. And one day I had it on. Of course, I'm having to hold it up to hear it because it wasn't very nice. But I walked through the living room. I have no idea the words I'm saying, but I walked through.
I know the song because you've told me. I know the song.
And I'm just singing, my blood runs cold. My memory has just been sold. Na, 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 na. My angel's in the centerfold. I didn't know what that meant at that age. I was young. And my dad went, can you come back here real quick? And I don't think I ever saw the little wrist radio again. I can't remember, but I don't feel like I did. So, but the even the bigger thing more than that was, I guess, in the house, but the bigger thing was out of the house. There was a lot of talk at that time of, a lot of, devil worship in music.
Yeah.
Not to say that there wasn't maybe the backward masking and they're putting evil messages and to the point where we're going to have a record burning.
Edit right here. Hey, Dad, what's up? Yes, I left it in your mailbox. Okay, bye-bye. Sorry. He said, can you give us some help, please? So I thought it was really something.
I can't remember what, how far I need to go back.
Well, no, you don't. I want to interrupt you though. I want to interrupt you. Did you ever hear that Ozzy Osbourne killed a puppy on the stage?
Probably. I knew was he the one that bit a bat?
He bit the head of a bat off. He killed a new puppy on the stage. And one time a youth speaker went into a Prince concert and there was a bed and Prince fornicated on the stage. I'm not making light of any of that. I'm just saying I've gone to Snopes.com and I think all of that is fake. I don't think he ever bit the head off a bat. He did certainly not ever kill a puppy.
Now, I think it very easily could have been made to appear that way. Like intentionally,
absolutely
like
not
for his
David.
For
you
his
cannot
fans.
Kill a puppy. Do you know what would happen in 2025 if you killed an animal on a stage?
I don't know about the puppy. I'm saying in that time,
bit the head off a bat,
80s or whatever, and that was kind of I could see them faking that. I don't see that actually happening, probably, but. Yeah. I don't know. The thing about the youth pastor going in to the Prince concert, I find strange.
It was very strange.
It takes a little while to fornicate. And so for him to,
you would think that he'd leave right at the onset.
Right, so right when he saw that first button go, I'm out of here.
First of all, Prince doesn't wear buttons.
But he stayed I think they're about to fornicate and I'm going to be here.
That's right. And don't even get me started when Madonna sang Papa Don't Preach. Don't even get me started.
But did you ever have or go to a record burning?
I believe I went to one. People were throwing their cassette tapes in. I don't remember myself doing it. It was in my cousin Brian Baker's church. They were going through a real revival.
So for
and my mother
anybody,
sent me down to live with them for a week so I could get some of it.
so like it was a virus you're going to catch.
Why don't you go down and catch some of that fire?
Yeah. So if you're not understanding the words coming out of our mouth right now, that's totally fine. So there was a season, I don't even know the years.
It's called the season of the witch.
Late 80s or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where record burnings were a big deal. So yeah, when you got back from a youth camp, when you got back from some kind of convention, you were having
you would take your cassette tape of Caribbean Queen. Now we're sharing the same dream. No, we're not. And you would throw it into the fire. And then as the smoke was coming up, you would hear things like this. You wasn't a Caribbean Queen.
That's not even sort of true.
Well, I will tell you this, though. I did go to a service once. My Aunt Melba was the youth pastor at the time. And we watched a whole movie on backward masking, which is when you would play a record backwards.
We've done a game on here. We've done
backward masking. And it would say things, they would say that it would say things like, Satan is God, Satan is good, give him money, and stuff like that. I don't know if I believe that. I think a lot of that was created. I don't know if I believe it. And it scared me to death.
Oh, it was scary.
That stuff
was scary.
scared me.
It's one of those things that I don't want to be completely naive to think that there aren't evil people that could do that. But I feel like the majority of it was subliminally kind of pushed into our thought process, and the music just going when someone tells you it's saying something, you try to start hearing it.
It's like, do you hear Yanni or Laurel?
Right.
That little thing, is the dress gray? Is the dress by? Yeah. Like, what do you hear? They're just telling you what to hear. And we were so susceptible back then. But
and here's the thing. At some point, it started at a good place or a good intention or a good thought of going, you know what? If I continue to put crap in my ears, and this is still true today, you put crap in or your eyes or wherever, if you are putting more of that in, then that is what's living here and what's going to come out. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there is a good, healthy balance of not just listening to a particular type of music and making sure you're living balanced and those type things. So it started good, but then it just got a little bit out of hand. And to be honest, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older. When you hear some of the lyrics to songs today, like, good Lord, our music was just like child's play compared to this. And it's played on radio stations, movies, everywhere. Yeah.
I've never made any bones about the fact that I had great parents growing up. Did they get everything right? Absolutely not. But one of the things that I think was pretty cool about my parents, we were a musical home. My mom fixed dinner almost every night with music playing in the kitchen. And it wasn't always Christian. It was a lot of Christian, but we definitely, if you think we didn't have Stevie Wonder playing in our kitchen or Merle Haggard, okay? That's who my mom liked.
I cannot
Isn't that so
your
bizarre?
Mom listened to Merle.
Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, honey. Yes, we did. One of the things that my parents did was they never opposed to me listening to any kind of pop music, but they always made sure that it was balanced. So, in other words, my mom would often come in my room and be like, hey, you have been listening to that CD for about 4 days straight. Okay. We're going to take a break now. You can turn on any kind of Christian you want. You can turn on any kind of worship music you want, any kind of this or that you want, but we've had enough of that. And I'd be like, okay. And so the next 4 or 5 days, I'd balance that out with, Russ Taff or
the Imperials,
David Meese or for him. But
wasn't there a David and the Giants?
You better believe I grew up listening to Mariah Carey's Emotions. You better believe it. But my parents were really good about still allowing that, which I think is why today I kind of appreciate all kinds of music.
But they did remove one cassette from you, right?
We're going to end this with the time that I got home from school and Annette was in my room going through my desk like she did. And she found a Def Leppard cassette tape. Pour some sugar on me. Okay. And that was not mine. I'm not going to talk about it, David. I'm not going to talk about it. That was not mine. I brought that home. It's a girlfriend and I did want to listen to it, but it wasn't mine. I could no sooner get those words. I went just like this. Like I can remember it in slow motion because she opened up the cassette box and she took the cassette tape out. I walked in my room and she was going just like this. She was pulling the cassette out and I went like this. No.
You can dramatically tear up a cassette
and
tape.
She went and she broke it in half while screaming, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And I had to go and tell April Ivy that her cassette tape got torn in half by my mother. And that's how our parents were in the 80s. So
it's yours.
Okay. On a little bit, probably more of a serious note, here was one that was never done. Ever. In fact, I didn't see it done until we were married and moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and went to a church. And I saw in the church an interracial couple. And I was probably 21 at the time because we got married at 20, moved to Nashville at 21. I was probably 22. And I thought, we're going to have to find another church. We're going to have to go somewhere else. They're letting in interracial couples. And
do you feel that it was probably heightened in a church, but don't you feel that also could have just been society at that time too?
That's a really great question. And I would love to ask that question of someone listening who was raised like us, but raised in the North.
Yeah.
Or raised in the West. Like, was it a Southern thing? Was it the culture? I don't know. I remember that I can't say to y'all, well, my parents were kind of racist about it. It was never even brought up. I don't remember that ever. Being brought up ever. I mean, we never discussed it. But at church, I remember I was a teacher at Vacation Bible School, y'all. You know how when you graduate from Vacation Bible School at like 13, the next year they're like, can we get you to work in the refreshments next year? I was probably 13 or 14 years old. I was giving out refreshments. The girl with me was also a girlfriend of mine. And she said, who do you like? And I said, Ralph Macchio from Karate Kid. And she looked right at me and she goes, Melissa, you can't be unequally yoked. And I remember that so well. And it's hilarious to this day. That's what we considered unequally yoked.
But
that is not at all what I consider that comment to even what that scripture even means.
But are you sure she didn't mean you're just kind of East Texas?
He was Italian.
You're East Texan and he's a handsome, wealthy movie star.
That wasn't equally yoked. Yeah. But it was just so not done. I don't remember ever talking about white and black together, be it a black boy, white girl, be it a black girl, white boy, ever, because it just wasn't done.
Well, I've heard this. What about
you? You went to a bigger church than I did.
I've heard this. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember it being like a big spoken about thing at all. But I also can't remember oh yeah, I remember that couple or whatever. So maybe not. But I've also heard, and I don't know what statistically it is or whatever, but I've heard that Sunday is the most segregated day of the week. Like there's more segregation on Sundays than any other. And, some of that is maybe stylistically is what you're used to, your preference of worship, those kind of things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't feel, I don't feel like a black church should feel bad if they don't have a certain percentage of of white people, or, you know,
Plus, white people have to eat earlier in the afternoon. They have to be out by 11:59 and down at the Lubies.
Even that. So I do know I've heard that. And so maybe that, you know, kind of.
There's the question, though. It begs the question, if God hates divorce was taboo because we heard it so much, was interracial couples and interracial dating and marriage so taboo that we actually never even talked about it? Because after the break, you guys, when we get back, I want to talk about something like that was never talked about. We're laughing about Halloween. We're laughing about music. Okay. We could laugh all day about dancing. Don't even get me started on that one. But was mixed race such a huge deal? It was so frowned upon that it was never talked about, because I don't remember it ever being talked about. I just remember the whole unequally yoked thing being a really big deal. And I remember that David and I went to a Bible college, and that's where we met. But you know what I'm going to say? I had a little crush on a guy that went to the school. This was before I ever dated David. I had a crush on a guy that went to school. He is Black. And he is happily married today and pastoring a church. Okay. I had a crush on him, and we had a very great friendship, and we kind of liked each other. We didn't ever even hold hands. Okay. But we kind of liked each other. We just had a little affinity for each other, and we would go to Taco Bell or whatever. And this was 1992. And I had a professor at that Bible college call my parents behind my back and tell them. How do I know? Because that professor brought me in and said, I've been very uncomfortable with this whole situation, and I just want you to know I called your parents about it. And I can remember thinking, that is horrible. It is so horrible. I do hope you're calling him in and telling him, I'm uncomfortable with you dating a white girl. I called your mother, but they weren't doing that. It was me they were trying to protect. I still to this day cannot get over that. That is horrific.
Well, and it is just, I don't know where it starts from, but it's just pure ignorance. It really is. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say on that. And because you know, even to say you were dating him is, maybe a little more of a straight. You hanging out a little bit, you know. Man, it's extremely sad. But it's just,
you want to know what's cool?
It's just ignorance.
My parents never brought up that phone call. They never brought it up. I asked them about it a year or so later. I asked them about it, or maybe when I came home that summer, I asked them about it. I remember my dad smiling and saying, "Yeah, baby, they called." Why didn't you ever say anything? That wasn't worth a conversation. So I think my parents even then saw that as ignorance, and that wasn't something that they really worried about. You know, they weren't bothered by that. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. But, I've always been offended by that. And what I ended up doing was then marrying the whitest, literally the whitest man that I could find. Okay, we'll be right back after this. This episode is being brought to you by my new book, Chicken Fried Women, Friendship, Kinship, and the Women Who Made Us This Way. Have you ever known any strong, Southern, smart aleck, sassy, opinionated women? You do? You know my family. You can find this book anywhere books are sold. Amazon, grab it today. You'll love it. Now, back to the show. We do have to speed up a little bit because we're taking a whole lot of time. I'm going to go with mine next. And it's another serious one. And it's really not any necessarily offense to the church. I'm not trying to be offensive to the church. But I think back in the 80s, it should have been dealt with, but it was only dealt with. Do you remember this? Did you ever go home after school and watch an ABC after school special?
Occasionally. Yeah.
You know what that is.
Yeah.
Y'all remember those? We'd go home after school. We would turn on the TV and it would be like an ABC after school special. And it'd be a 2-hour special about how Timmy, he didn't make the football team and he was hazed. And it would be something like that, like a really serious topic. I never heard about eating disorders until an ABC after school special. I'd never heard about it ever, and never heard about it again after that. That was not talked about ever. Bulimia, anorexia, gluttony, anything like that, any kind of maybe even mental health issue, never dealt with. On the occasion, on a really heavy night, we'd bring out suicide and we'd talk about that. But there was nothing else. And if you think that girls were not dealing with that in 1982, so explain to me why we weren't talking about it. Why, like, I'm really asking, why weren't we talking about it?
Well, I think, again, it's another thing that also mirrored society a little bit at the time, that those things weren't talked about.
David, it was on an ABC after school special, and Tracy Pollan dealt with it on Growing Pains.
I'm saying it wasn't a common, comfortable thing, to say I'm struggling with XYZ, so that was kind of the norm. It wasn't talked about a whole lot. But then when you took it into the church, it was, you're not disciplined enough. Mm-hmm. You're not godly enough. You're not reading enough, praying enough, sacrificing enough. So then there was this other layer that this problem would not exist, but for your weakness.
Yeah, that's good.
And I mean, that's
so good.
I was going to say something, inappropriate. That's just complete stupidity, Right. I mean, that you would be putting something on someone like that. Mm-hmm. Are there people that, I have to be disciplined to not get that second bowl of ice cream, or I've got to be disciplined to get up and go to the gym? Yeah. Okay, there is that. But there is another category that if you've never been in that category or worked with people in that category, shut your mouth, because it only makes you seem like a fool, to be honest, and hateful, which is the exact opposite who Jesus was, right? Who God is.
And when we hit this early 90s approach, and youth pastors started talking openly about bulimia and girls throwing up in the bathroom after they ate and vomiting and purging, I remember being like, oh my word. I mean, he's going to get fired. I mean, I remember going to when we were in college, I went to the Oaks and I heard Scott Wilson speaking on bulimia and binging and purging.
It was Oak Cliff Assembly.
It was Oak Cliff at the time. And I remember thinking he's going to get fired. But actually what he was doing was bringing relevant topics that had been relevant for a while to light. And we should have been doing that back then, but we weren't. Enough of that. What about yours? What's your last one?
Well, mine definitely ties into that. You even sort of mentioned it, but just the fact that the accountability and communication was just non-existent between believers.
What do you mean?
And what happened in the house stayed in the house. If you were struggling with, some addiction,
oh yeah.
Nope,
yeah,
we don't discuss that. We don't talk about that. Mm-hmm. Again, I think it goes to that because something's wrong with you and you need to fix it, and then it will be fine.
Right.
Not that it's something. And the thing that really comes to mind is, anxiety and depression and even more serious mental things that for so long. And again, part of this is the community, but even maybe more so in church, those things were not identified as things like we would identify somebody that had diabetes, right, or that somebody that had high blood pressure, or that somebody had
cancer.
Cancer. We didn't have, there was nothing from the head up that
Right.
that fell into that. Everything from the head up, that's your own fault.
Yeah.
And it wasn't talked about, but there were so many people dealing with it on different levels, which is sad because that's the exact place you should be talking about it.
Yeah, but I don't know, David, that came to be really in the church until it came to be online, until people started sharing the most intimate moments of their life and opening up about their addictions and their this and their that online. But then it became commonplace, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. And sometimes it's the other side. Sometimes I think people share a little too much. I'm not talking about sharing everything to any stranger walking down the street or when you're walking.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I can say this because my parents don't even listen to this podcast. I bet you $20 bill, they don't even know I have one. I think my parents' generation is still like that. I think my parents' generation is still like that. If it's happening in our family, we are going to cover the wagons. We're going to circle the wagons. We are not going to let anybody know our secrets. We're not going to be, if my mother if my father was diagnosed with high blood pressure, we're certainly not going to mention that in our community group, Melissa. We don't even want anybody to know that. Why? What if someone else has high blood pressure? But that's kind of a silly thing. But what if it was pornography? What if it was alcoholism? Why would you not? But that generation is still that way.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the things that I will tell my mom, what are you speaking on when you go out of town, Melissa? And I'll tell her, oh my Lord, that is not using discretion. I think they're still like that. They were just raised to be so private. It's mind blowing to me.
And it's not that you don't keep something. There are certain things, sure, you keep those close to the vest, and that makes total sense. But there was so much,
like the fact that I had to strip for years just to pay my way through college, and I've never talked about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't talk about it. But I always wanted to because my stage name was Sugar Baby. Because I was also diabetic. I don't know where any of that came from. And I apologize because we've been talking kind of serious, but I had to take it. I had to give us a moment of levity. If anybody right now is like, did she really do that through college? No. Mainly, I don't know how I got paid for college. I'm pretty sure we're still paying for it. Anyway.
Speaking of strippers, we're going to strip away for a second to a quick break.
This episode is being brought to you by my new book, Chicken Fried Women, Friendship, Kinship, and the Women Who Made Us This Way. Have you ever known any strong, Southern, smart aleck, sassy, opinionated women? You do? You know my family. You can find this book anywhere books are sold. Amazon, grab it today. You'll love it. Now, back to the show. Okay, y'all, our little thing for today. Now, David, y'all, I swear, describing a TikTok that David has to reenact it's mind blowing to me. It's like describing it. I'd get further along telling Shep how to do it. Okay, David, there was this thing that went around, that people were doing online. It's taken from a game show. It's where people like a $42,000 pyramid, $100,000 pyramid, whatever it's called, where they're trying to guess. Okay. And so they're naming fast food restaurants. And what the little trend is that the couple sits here like this with their eyes closed, but they look at each other whenever they hear one that they would want for dinner. So David and I were just talking before we sat down. I said, hey, why don't we just fix cereal and go lay in bed and watch Law and Order and go to sleep early? And then he said, but you know what? We don't have any milk. You know what sounds really good? It's bacon and eggs. I said, well, we don't have any eggs. So we're going to have fast food tonight. And whatever we open our eyes on at the same time is what we're going to have.
So,
okay. Don't do that thing where you don't open your eyes on any just because you want to save money.
No,
don't do that.
No, but like, what if the first option sounds okay? So I open my eyes, but then I miss out on the second option.
That's a risk you take.
All right.
I mean, should we do it that way or like just open our eyes and then we can just decide out of two of them or something? It's because you've got to see if my eyes are open.
How many restaurants are you going to ask about?
It's a thing that plays, and it's like 6. I don't know. I have no idea how many.
Okay, let's just do it, and we'll make up the rules as we go along.
Okay. So, are you going to play it right now?
I am. For those of you that are listening to the Radke Show, we are so excited that you're with us. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, share, all that kind of good stuff. But now is a great reason for you to watch the Radke Show. You can find us. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Glue. You can find us on Spotify. So you watch us to get everything out of the Radke Show. How do y'all know if
we've opened our eyes or not? Except that I'll be like, David, open your eyes. You know I love that place. Okay, here we go. Ready? Close your eyes, David. And David, don't be fun about it. Like, don't sit there like that, like your personality. Like, don't sit like a statue. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Talk about
Burger King.
McDonald's.
Chili's.
Wendy's.
Domino's.
Subway.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Pizza Hut.
Okay. Did you open it anytime I didn't?
Many times.
Oh, you did?
Burger King. I love a little Whopper on a junior bun. And Domino's, I like their crunchy pizza. Oh, and definitely Chili's. Oh my gosh, I got a problem. I was opening it for all of them, and you were sitting there like...
You didn't open it for Taco Bell. I opened it for Taco Bell.
Of course you did. David and the Mexican pizza. Hey, you guys, we love you so much, but we got to go get dinner at Chili's. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Radke Show. We're going to end now so that you can go and love on your people. Till next time.